Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides information on government policies and initiatives. I'm Adrian Atkinson. While pretty larceny is the theft of agricultural produce, farm theft spans a wider spectrum and includes the theft of cattle, crops, machinery, and even fishing gear. Here to tell us more about how farm theft affects the quality and safety of our food, as well as the measures in place to ensure food sustainability, is Chairman of the Youth in Agriculture Committee, Joseph Small. Welcome to the program and thank you so much for being here today. Let's talk about farm theft and how does that affect the quality of the foods we eat.
Well, Adrian, the quality of food and the safety of food is very important to all of us as humans, be it here in Jamaica or in the region or internationally. And so it is important that we consume food that is safe and not contaminated with any bacteria or other microbes, chemical hazards like pesticides or insecticides, as well as any physical hazards, be it stones, sand, paper, metal, and the like.
Yeah, and of course safety is very vital in terms of what we consume. Now let's talk a little bit about the theft of machinery and how does that affect or impact the food that we also consume.
Imagine rearing animals, or in the instance of crops, you're growing crops and you use machinery and tool to improve your efficiency and your productivity. And if those equipment or tools or machinery are stolen, then it would impact your ability to efficiently produce a certain volume per acre or yield that you would like. And so farm theft would negatively impact your production system in that regard.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about standards of agricultural produce. I mean, how do we know when food is contaminated?
Well, you can know when food is contaminated if, one, you purchase meat and the meat was not inspected by the relevant public health inspectors. It doesn't have that stamp of approval with the requisite information about the public health officer and the like. That is one way to know if you're purchasing contaminated meat, for example.
And so consumers are expected to purchase meat from
reputable sources.
Indeed. And as we talk about reputable sources, we talk about the regulatory bodies now and how they certify general safety for food, and whether or not that, petty thievery will undermine all the appropriate food standards.
I would rephrase to say that petty thievery and farm theft will always undermine the regulatory system if it was used to extract from the farm the produce or the animals that they were producing. So the regulatory bodies, however, have various standards that they use to try to allow for safe food to be produced, be it Global GAP, SQF, ISO, Codex GMP, Good Agricultural Practices, and the like are standards that would be used by the regulatory authorities so that farmers can meet those requirements and produce safe food.
So thank you so much for that very bit of information. We all have a responsibility to ensure that we contribute to the safety of our foods. We close out this segment with Chairman of the Youth in Agriculture Committee and Vice President of UAFJ, Mr. Joseph Small. The conversation will continue with Chairman of the Island Advisory Council of the Jamaica Forage Clubs and President of the United Agriculturalists and Farmers Association of Jamaica, Reverend Roy Wickham. We have much more to come. Stay with us.
It's time again for the JIS Heritage Essay Competition. Are you a primary school student? Write a 400 to 500 word essay responding to the question, should Jamaica remain under the British monarchy or become a full republic? And win lots of prizes. Visit jis.gov.jm for competition guidelines. Registration is still open. Deadline extended until Sunday, November 5 at midnight. The JIS Heritage Essay Competition 2023. Enter today.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. According to the Public Health Meat Inspection Regulations 1989, no person shall slaughter or cause to be slaughtered any animal for human consumption unless such person has waited at least 24 hours before slaughter, and after slaughter the carcass has been drained, eviscerated, that's gutted, dissected and chilled in a defined manner. When a prairie larcenist do not follow the standards and the meat enters the food chain, there is no adherence to food safety norms. Our guest is chairman of the Island Advisory Council of the Jamaica Forage Clubs and president of the United Agriculturalists and Farmers Association of Jamaica, UAFA-J, Reverend Roy Wickham. Welcome to the program, Reverend Wickham.
Thank you very much.
And let us talk now a little bit about the measures that the government has put in place or have put in place to combat the issue of prairie larceny or farm theft.
Well, the government has put in place the matter of traceability, where they tag animals on what has to do mainly with cattle. But notwithstanding that, we do know that the act that deals with prairie larceny has been over 5 decades or perhaps beyond that. And as a result of that, it is something that has become an issue. There's also the legislation to bring harsher punishment to prairie thieves. There's also the development of prairie larceny unit of the police department. Superintendent Pasco is the person who leads this unit, and he's doing a good job. Notwithstanding this, however, there is a need to strengthen the structures so that you can have more effective dealing with the matter at the community levels, such as breakout at the community stations, putting in what I would call a comprehensive study to look at prairie larceny, to come up with a kind of value, to measure the value that is lost to farm theft or prairie larceny. But there's also the need to look beyond the $6 billion that oftentimes the government refers to the loss because of prairie larceny. From UAFA's perspective, we have been able to look at this economic loss to farmers, and we have, from our analysis, have recognized that it is about $30 billion and not $6 billion. Because what we have used to come away with that information is that we have looked at the opportunity loss. For example, a farmer may have brought in a well enough bull that he requires to use on this farm to get better genetical output. And that bull is stolen, slaughtered, and all the thief sees is money in his pocket and food on the table. But for the farmer, that's a great loss, because what the expectation was has been reduced, not only with animals, but also with plants or other produce. There are farmers who may have brought in certain genetical ideas or concepts that they wanted to improve on their crops. And when the crops are stolen, then you have that problem likewise. So we have been encouraging our farmers through our robust online group,
Yes.
where farmers express within this group online chat the concerns they have, and as a result we have training, we have webinars, we have not only webinars by way of imparting the knowledge and information to people, but also advise them as to how they can use or utilize the various technologies to combat predator larceny. Whether it is going to be cameras, whether it's going to be farmers group watch, among other things.
Yes, and I'm happy that you touched on the whole issue of safeguarding livestock and produce and other agricultural supplies. How often are the farmers exposed to these trainings and webinars?
Well, since our inception, we have had 2 webinars on farm theft. One looked at the cost and one looked at the negative impact of the health from predator larceny. We have other webinars planned that are slated to come on stream in 2024.
Indeed. And so how can persons gain more information in terms of, the effects of farm theft?
Persons can get more information by way of becoming members of UEFA. They can join by writing to the secretariat at uefa@gmail.com. They can also see information on the UEFA YouTube channel, and they can make contact with the General Secretary at 876-345-1590. And there they can get information.
Absolutely. And so I'll give you the opportunity for a final word to those who are watching this program today.
I will say that food security and safety will always be challenged from farm theft. It will always be undermined as a result of thieves. The business of agriculture sector is too important for us to just give it mere lip service. It requires all hands on deck. Never be too quick, I would say to our people, to buy a lower cost food, because this item may just be the difference between your health and the country's productivity.
And of course, all hands on deck is required if it is that we are going to be fighting this issue of predator larceny or farm theft. This has been Get the Facts. Our guests were Chairman of the Youth in Agriculture Committee and Vice President of UEFA-J, Mr. Joseph Small, in the first segment, and Reverend Roy Wickham, who is the Chairman of the Island Advisory Council of the Jamaica Forage Clubs and President of UEFA-J. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Take care.